Things may not be going so well for the Pittsburgh Penguins when it comes to their playoff aspirations. For the St. Louis Blues, is it the same story? Well, one thing we know for sure. Penguins won the first meeting between the two teams, but who won the second meeting? That is our topic of conversation as we welcome you to another special edition of Penguins Postgame right here on this episode of Sports for Beginners. It's episode 10, season 4, and it starts right now. You're locked in to Penguins hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Sidney Crosby and the Penguins play here on the Sports for Beginners podcast. He shoots, he scores. The bingo game is ready to roll. Welcome to Penguins Postgame. PPG for PGH. And you'd have to be here to believe it. Here is your host, Scott McGregor. Welcome in, Penguins fans. Welcome in, hockey fans alike. Welcome in, Blues fans. My name is Scott McGregor. This is Sports for Beginners, episode 10 of season number 4. Welcome in, Penguins fans. Welcome in, St. Louis fans, and welcome in fans of the podcast and fans in general of hockey. Our conversation today, last time on Sports for Beginners, it was in our special edition of Penguins Postgame. It was the Buffalo Sabres. The Penguins, I believe they lost that game. I'll quickly double check to make sure. But that was our episode 9 recap. Yes, they did lose that game 7-3. That was on March 27th, 2025. We haven't hit the 27th of April yet. But by that time, anyways, we'll be out of season with the Penguins. Anyways, our topic of conversation is the game between Pittsburgh and St. Louis. And they did battle just last month on March 13th in Pittsburgh at PPG Paints Arena. This is the last turning back the clock we will be doing for the 2024-2025 season. We had to turn back the clock to Florida for a re-record version of that show. And we also turned back the clock to the Ottawa game. But now, turning back the clock is done. As we speak to you today on Sunday, April 13th, 2025, which is 10 days ago since these two teams last met, which was on April 3rd, from the Enterprise Center in St. Louis, Missouri. Let's just say we're all caught up to speed. We have the Boston Bruins doing battle with the Pittsburgh Penguins for the final time this season. Coming up this afternoon. Also coming up this afternoon, the Blue Jays will wrap up a 2-game series with the Baltimore Orioles before they head home to begin a 3-game series with the Atlanta Braves. As part of a 6-game homestand for the Blue Jays, they will also take on Seattle, but there will be an off day on Thursday in between series. With that said, as far as the Penguins content is concerned, we will bring you as much action as we can, but be sure to stick around for another edition of Penguins Postgame later on today, and another great edition of Blue Jays game recap. Blue Jays and the Orioles. Game 1 of their 3-game series that became a 2-game series was rained out on Friday, April the 11th, 2025. So we will be talking about the weekend games on Saturday, April 12th, 2025, and Sunday, which today, April 13th, 2025. With that all being said, and with that out of the way, let's jump to our game. The officiating crew was Dan Oroku, Corey Serveret. Those were the referees. Corey S. Corey, if I pronounce the last name wrong, and the same thing for Dan, if I pronounce the last name wrong, my sincerest apologies. Ryan Daisy and Ben O'Quinn, also in for officiating. They were the linesmen, or the lines person. Want to make sure I don't say lions, so I'm saying lines. That's what I want to say. Lines, not lions. Those officiating crew numbers were number 23 and number 9 for the referees, Dan Oroku and Corey S. Number 91 and number 81 were worn by Ben O'Quinn and Ryan Daisy. Head coaches for this game: Jim Montgomery and Mike Sullivan. Out for this contest for the Penguins: no Evgeny Malkin, no Tommy Novak, no Boko Imama, no Vladislav Kolyachonok, and no Emil Bemstrom. And last but certainly not least, before we get into the goaltending matchup, which will take us right up to our first break of the show, for the Blues, they were without Colton Petrayko, Matthew Joseph, Alexander Texier, and Matthew Kessel. If I pronounced anyone's name wrong, again, sincerest apologies in advance. Once again, our venue for this one, Enterprise Center in St. Louis, Missouri. This was game number 76 of the 82-game season for the Pittsburgh Penguins. It is game number 38 on the road. The Penguins have played a couple more road games, but they wrapped up their last road game of the season on Friday against the Devils. You will hear that following this recap, and of course following our Ottawa recap as well. For the St. Louis Blues, as they are also wrapping up the season as well, as we speak, the Blues were playing in game 77 of the 82-game season, and home game number 39 of the season. Starting goaltenders, well, let's see. Who were the goalies Our starting netminders for the Pittsburgh Penguins, they go with number 35, Tristan Jarry, backed up by number 39, Alex Nedeljkovic. Number 30, Joel Hofer, gets the start for the St. Louis Blues on the other side of the ice, backed up by Jordan Binnington. Jordan Binnington backing things up. He is number 50 of the team. So this time it's Joel Hofer, starting for the Blues. Jordan Binnington in at backup. Nedeljkovic in at backup for the Penguins. Jarry taking on Hofer. Well, this game had quite a bit of everything, except fights. And we will break that down for you in the scoring summary in our second half of the program. But kicking things off here, let's kick it off, this recap, to at least get the penalties out of the way before we take the first break of the program. And we begin in the first period, as always. In the first period, only one penalty would be called. This one went to Pittsburgh's Vili Kovovin. If I pronounce anyone's name wrong, apologies in advance. Vili Kovovin. 2-minute minor for holding. Time of the penalty, 8 minutes and 19 seconds. Penguins take 2 more penalties in the second period of play. The first one went to Erik Karlsson. A 2-minute minor for hooking. Drawn by Jake Neighbors. Nick Leddy drew the penalty on Vili Kovovin in the first period of play. Ryan Shea received a 2-minute double minor drawn by Oskar Sundqvist of the St. Louis Blues. He received a double minor at 16 minutes and 22 seconds for high sticking Ryan Shea. Ryan Shea was the one that received that. Oskar Sundqvist was the man who drew this penalty. So Ryan Shea is a double minor at 16 minutes and 22 seconds. At 15 minutes, Erik Karlsson is called for hooking. Minor. Third period we go. In the third, Justin Falk is nabbed for the same penalty Vili Kovovin was nabbed for in the first period. A 2-minute minor for holding against Vili Kovovin. Vili Kovovin drew this penalty on Justin Falk. A 2-minute minor for holding. Time of the penalty, 10 minutes, 45 seconds. And one other penalty to speak of, that was in the extra frame, which pretty much led to the game-winning goal. That penalty went to Christopher Letang. 2 minutes for slashing, 1 minute and 28 seconds in to overtime. Jordan Kyrou with the draw of the penalty. Okay, so who scored on the power play? Who scored in the game at even strength? How did this game wind up in overtime? We will talk about that along with our game totals. I will reveal to you my 3 stars of the game, but we'll also reveal, before we get to that, the actual 3 stars of that game. And we will do that next. And I will give you my play of the game. Season 4, Episode 10 of Sports for Beginners, another great edition of Penguins Postgame on the season content of Sports for Beginners, continues with the scoring from regulation to overtime, game totals, and 3 stars, along with the play of the game, all when we return. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. There's more great conversations and content right around the corner. Sports for Beginners will be right back in a moment.
I wonder if I could make it. It's almost getting to 8 o'clock p.m., and I am still a few more steps away from home to get to my computer to listen to CNT Radio's Cosmopolitan Culture Club. The best of the best music from around the world. Can't wait! I think I made it! CNT Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time.
Looking for a sports podcast that covers sports weekly as well as gets you set up for the day? Check out Weekly in Sports with me, Scott McGregor. We give some shout-outs of the week to podcasts like this one and those who do them. Discuss the Blue Jays, Bills, Raptors, and more. To learn more, check out the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners. Looking for a good hockey podcast that covers your favorite hockey teams and mine? Check out On the Ice and Behind the Benches, where we chat about our favorite hockey teams from puck drop to the last play of the action. To learn more, follow the On the Ice and Behind the Benches Facebook page. Search On the Ice and Behind the Benches.
Now, let's take you back to the action. To the rink and field we go. We find Scott McGregor.
Welcome back to Sports for Beginners, our Penguins post-game show special, Penguins and the Blues. Blues beat the Pens 5-4. We're about to find out how it all happened. I have my notes out here. I also have the website out here for the NHL. And just a disclaimer in case you missed it, I will be picking my 3 players who stood out to me for the 3 stars of the game, but I will also reveal to you the 3 stars of the Blues and Penguins game that were official. And we will do that within a matter of moments. before we get there, we can't get there until we've broke down our game totals. And we can't do that until we've broken down our scoring. As always, I am Scott McGregor, your host of the program. I am your host of Penguins Postgame, and I want to remind everyone just before we get into the scoring that another Penguins postgame show will be on the way following a Blue Jays game recap show. The Penguins taking on the Bruins today down at PPG Paints Arena in about less than 4 hours from now. It's actually, game time is at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. So that is actually 2 hours away to the exact. Maybe it's 3 hours. Regardless, we're keeping an eye on the clock to the game time. Again, Penguins and the Bruins coming up at 3:30 p.m. from PPG Paints Arena, the last game against the Boston Bruins of the 2024-2025 NHL regular season. And they will also wrap things up with the Washington Capitals this Thursday, April 17th, 2025. But our coverage of that game may come to you on the weekend. It may not be in video format, it may be in audio format, but we will see what we can work with. So we got Boston coming up, and I do want to let everyone know, especially Blue Jays fans know, that we will be doing a Blue Jays game recap following the final out of the game between the Baltimore Orioles and the Toronto Blue Jays. In case you missed it before the break of the first break, Toronto and Baltimore's first game of a 3-game set that was supposed to end today became a 2-game set because of rain on thunder and lightning rather at Camden Yards on Friday night, making conditions not necessarily safe for anybody to be out there, Baltimore or Toronto. That game will be made up as part of a doubleheader when the two teams face off again in Camden Yards in what was a 3-game series at Camden Yards, which has now become a 4-game series later on this July. The doubleheader will take place on July 29th, 2025, but we'll bring more on that on the Blue Jays game recap edition for that show. I invite you to check out, even if it may be a bit late on the ice and behind the benches, the programs that Thomas has for opening day weekend, when the Blue Jays battled the Orioles for a 4-game series in which they split. And of course, they swept the Washington Nationals. He also has, I believe on the slate, he also has a recap of the Mets series. You can listen to those that I did right now on Sports for Beginners, both on YouTube and, of course, wherever you listen to podcasts on Apple and Spotify, and tune in as well. You will get the video version that you will get on YouTube, like this one, on Spotify, but you'll have the audio on everywhere else. And without further delay, let's get to what we want to get to, because I want to make sure we get some time in for the totals and 3 stars of the game. Brian Rust scored in this game. Whenever he does score, Penguins fans receive half off Rusty Shakes the next day at the Milkshake Factory, providing you the official milkshake of the Pittsburgh Penguins. And that Milkshake Factory ad, originally created by former Pittsburgh Penguin and now Tampa Bay Lightning player Jake Guentzel, is what inspired our segment coming up a little bit later in our show called the Shake of the Game. It's what we like to call our alternative player of the game. More on that a little bit later. For Brian Rust, this goal was his 27th goal of the season. Rutger McGwarty picked up his first assist of the season. That was the primary assist of that goal. Penguins take a 1-0 lead with the only goal in the first period of play. It is at 3 minutes and 32 seconds. After one period of play, the Penguins were out shooting the Blues 8-4 in the shots on goal per period, I should say, tally after one period of play, so they won that period. The Blues, meanwhile, will win the second period 10-7, but they are still being outshot 15-14. Speaking of the second period, here are the goals that went down in the second period. St. Louis getting things started this time around. Jake Neighbors, his 20th goal of the season. Literally 39 seconds into the game, second period, Jake Neighbors ties things up at 1 goal apiece, 39 seconds into the game's second period. Robert Thomas, with assist number 51 of the season, he was the primary assist. Philip Broberg picking up his 20th assist of the season. Blues have quickly tied the game up. And just as they do so, former Toronto Maple Leaf, now Pittsburgh Penguin, Connor Dewar strikes. His 4th goal of the season, 4th as a Penguin, assisted by number 67, Rickard Rakell. As we speak to you, Friday night was Rickard Rakell's 800th career NHL game. So this was not his 800th NHL game. The game on Friday night was Rickard Rakell's 800th career NHL game. He gets the assist, the primary assist, on Connor Dewar's 4th goal of the season. Brian Rust has a goal in this one, also picked up an assist. One assist that he would have in this game, which is number 30 of the season. Penguins take the lead right back 4 minutes and 22 seconds later. It is 2-1 Pittsburgh. So it was 1-0 after one period of play. What was our total after 2 periods of play? Well, Pavel Bushevich picks up his 16th goal of the season. Nathan Walker picking up his 7th assist of the season. It's tied again. 2-2. And this was on a wicked backhand, by the way. This is a wicked backhand. Beats Tristan Jarry. And it's 2-2. Time of the goal, 6 minutes, 48 seconds. But they weren't done there. The Blues weren't done there, as they would end up taking the lead before the break of the second period. All the goals coming early. Jordan Kyrou was the last goal scored in the second period, coming at 8 minutes and 5 seconds. Cam Fowler with his 26th assist of the season. Number 33 on the season for Jordan Kyrou in terms of goals. Which brings us to the third period of play in scoring. And we'll get to overtime in a moment. Overtime and the third period is actually when we would see a power play goal, by the way. But who scored first? Well, as we know for the game, after the second 20 minutes of play, the Penguins are out shooting the Blues 15-14, but the Blues outshot the Penguins 10-7 for the period. In the third period, goal scoring starts with Jake Neighbors. That's his second goal of the game. So Jake Neighbors scored twice in this one. He scored in the second period. And then he scored in the third period of play. His second goal of the game, number 21 on the season, rather. Jimmy Snuggard. I'll go with Jimmy S. Jimmy, if I pronounce your last name wrong, I apologize. But congratulations on your first assist of the season. Wow. Love that. Love that. I really do. Oskar Sundqvist picking up his 13th assist of the season. Jimmy Snuggard picking up his first of the season. 5 minutes and 56 seconds into the game's third period. The Blues have drawn out in front 4-2. They were in front of the Penguins at the end of 2 periods of play, 3-2. So the Penguins were ahead 1-0 after 1 period of play. They lost the lead, got it back, lost it again. And now they have to come back down by 2. They do. Our first power play goal of the game came in the third period. It was the Penguins' Ricard Raquel. Goal number 33 on the season for Ricard Raquel. Captain Sidney Crosby picking up assist number 55 of the season. And Matt Grzelcyk, the former Boston Bruin, picking up his 35th assist of the season. It's now 4-3. This was at 11 minutes and 15 seconds. a PPG for PGH for Pittsburgh. There was also a PPG for STL, as they are called in short form, STL, for St. Louis. But that was in overtime. Before we get to overtime, how did we get to overtime? That was one. Now the Penguins need a goal to force overtime. And they get it. Rutger McGorty, his first goal of the year. And is that of his career? Yes. The Blues game would be the game where Rutger McGorty would score his first NHL goal of his career. He picked up his second assist of his career in the Dallas game on April the 5th. But you want to talk about firsts? He also picked up his first 2 NHL points in his career with an assist in this game and a goal. He now has 3 points on his career, counting the 1 assist he got against Dallas. So this was a special moment. I mean, would have been very nice if the Penguins win this game in overtime, but it was a very special moment. Bittersweet, I guess, for the Penguins because they lost this game in overtime. But a great moment that Rutger will remember forever. His first NHL goal. Time of the goal, 19 minutes, 35 seconds. Ville Kovavin with his first assist of the season. Erik Karlsson, assist number 42 on the season for Karlsson. And that is what will force overtime. In overtime, Penguins took the penalty that we mentioned earlier. Christopher Letang takes a slashing minor against Jordan Kyrou. And it's Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou that make him pay. Kyrou finds Robert Thomas. And that's all she wrote. A PPG for STL closes out the game. Robert Thomas's 20th goal of the season. Jordan Kyrou with the primary assist, the only assist in that goal. His 32nd of the season. Time of the goal, 2 minutes, 12 seconds. Blues beat the Penguins. They get even with the Penguins, who beat them back on March 13th, 5-3 in Pittsburgh. So they get even with the Penguins this time, beating the Penguins 5-4 in overtime. We'll get to the play of the game as we proceed to the shake of the game coming up in a matter of moments, but we want to get to the 3 stars of the game, and we will do that in just a few minutes. Wrapping things up here with the shots on goal to wrap up our totals for that. Penguins winning the third period 13-3. But the Blues won the overtime period with 2 shots on goal in overtime. Penguins with no shots on goal in overtime. For the game, the Penguins, however, outshoot the St. Louis Blues in the loss 28 to 19. They won 36.8% of their faceoffs. Just about 37% of the faceoffs were won by Pittsburgh. 63.2% of the faceoffs were won by St. Louis. St. Louis went 1 for 5 on the power play. Penguins penalty kill going 4 for 5 on the penalty kill. Power play 1 for 1 on their only opportunity they get. The Blues once again 1 for 5. Penguins penalty kill 4 for 5, I should say. The Blues penalty kill 0 for 1. They weren't able to kill off that penalty. The only penalty that they had, which led to a goal in the third period for the Penguins, ultimately leading to what would end up becoming our tying goal. But all things aside, the penalty minutes were 10 for the Penguins, 2 for the Blues. Blues out-hit the Penguins 22 to 20. Excuse me. I was going to say 22 to 20 or 22 to 2, but I meant to say 22 to 20. Penguins have the upper hand in giveaways with 11, the Blues with 21. Blocked shots were 13 to 11 in favor of the Blues. And both squads tie in takeaways at 5 to 5. Alrighty, time now for the disclaimer of the 3 stars before I reveal to you my pick for the 3 stars of the game and the 3 stars of the game that were actually. We will get those out before I reveal my picks. Here you go with your 3 stars. The third star, first we're going to go over those that were official, and then I'll give you my 3 picks. The third star went to Penguins right winger, Rickard Rakell, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points. Second star goes to Jake Neighbors, 2 goals, no assists, 2 points. And the first star went to Robert Thomas. 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points. For my 3 stars of the game, as those were the 3 stars of the game at the time of the finish, which again, this was on Thursday, April 3rd, 2025, which was 10 days ago from now, as it is Sunday, April the 13th, 2025. But my picks, I would kind of swap things around here. I would kind of go Jake Neighbors as my third star. And I'll swap out Rakell with Rutger McGorty. I thought Rutger played really well in this game. He would go as my second star. I leave Robert Thomas in at my first star. So I would go Robert Thomas, Rutger McGorty, and Jake Neighbors. But our actual 3 stars of the game, Robert Thomas, Jake Neighbors, and Rickard Rakell. Have a difference in opinion on those? Let us know by email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com or by hitting the Discord server, Penguins Postgame Show Interactions, to get in on all the action. 3 stars of the game, give us your picks. Give us your picks for the shake of the game and the game puck of the game. You can even give us your pick for the play of the game, and the shake of the game, plus what happened elsewhere on the day of the game, which was Thursday, April 3rd, 2025. We will get that out to you as we can. We'll get those look-arounds for you as we can. Ladies and gentlemen, we will get into the look-around from the NHL on the day of the game. We will do the play of the game. And I will get into the shake of the game as well. But please understand, as I've been getting some messages here while we've been recording, please understand that I will very much try to be as cautious as I can when saying what I was saying. As I said on Monday in a post on our Facebook page, privacy on this show for guests, contributors, music, and anything of that nature that I would use, should it have to be taken down, I will not hesitate to do so. And I also would like to let everyone know that that is my number one concern and my number one priority. With that said, the play of the game, NHL look around, and shake of the game are up next.
Don't go anywhere. There's more great conversations and content right around the corner. Sports for Beginners will be right back in a moment.
Hello? How are you, my friend? Why? What's the matter? Why feeling bored and lonely? Look at me. I am always happy. The only reason? I can tell you, it's because I listen to CNT Radio. All the best shows you can think of. The Melting Pot, the Cosmopolitan Culture Club, and the Song Bank. There are also many more new shows to come. Please make sure to visit her website at http://siennaT.wordpress.com/siennaT-radio. Oh, now I can hear you more cheerful. CNT Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time. Looking for conversations on the world of broadcasting, sports media, and from time to time, my favorite sports teams? Listen to Broadcast Map with me, Ali Musa. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Broadcast Map Facebook page. Search Broadcast Map.
Looking for a sports podcast that covers sports weekly as well as gets you set up for the day? Check out Weekly in Sports with me, Scott McGregor. We give some shout-outs of the week to podcasts like this one and those who do them. Discuss the Blue Jays, Bills, Raptors, and more. To learn more, check out the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners.
Now, let's take you back to the action. To the rink and field we go. We find Scott McGregor.
Welcome back to Penguins Postgame. Penguins and the Blues here on Season 4's Episode 10 of Sports for Beginners. We have the play of the game coming up in just a little bit. But before we get there, I promised you that we would get into the action from the day of the game. As again, this is being recorded 10 days after the game had gone final. We will begin in Montreal with our NHL look around. And the Montreal Canadiens defeated the Boston Bruins 4-1. The Ottawa Senators defeated the Tampa Bay Lightning 2-1 in their games today. The Colorado Avalanche pick up a 7-3 win over the Columbus Blue Jackets on the day of this game. Over in Dallas, the Stars picking up a 5-1 win over the Predators. The Hockey Club fell 4-2 to the Kings. That is the Utah Hockey Club falling 4-2 to the Kings. We also have the Flames beating the Ducks 4-1. The Vegas Golden Knights fell 4-0 to the Winnipeg Jets. Of course, in our game, it was 5-4. The Blues beat the Penguins 5-4. And elsewhere, down in the Shark Tank, we had the Oilers knock off the Sharks at 3-2. All right, time now for the play of the game. There is a sponsor on the Penguins radio network for this segment, but we are going to refrain from the disclaimer that we were going to be using and just bring it to you. I won't even say what it is sponsored by, but I'm pretty sure if you listen to the show on the radio, you know what it is sponsored by. You can get in on the action on our Discord server, providing us with your play of the game. If you have a difference in opinion in the 3 stars of the game or in the shake of the game or game puck of the game, you can also let us know about that as well. And so, with that being said, the play of the game for me on this one, I mean, there's a lot that I could choose. But I'm going to go with the overtime winner. It's not a good penalty for Christopher Letang to take. And I really, really hoped he wouldn't have taken that penalty because when he did, the Blues had an opportunity to win the game. Of course, the Penguins had an opportunity to win the game shorthanded, but this goal by Robert Thomas is good enough for my play of the game. And I mean, it's just not a good penalty for Christopher Letang to take. It's not a good penalty. When you have a shot to win the game after Rutger McGorty and Ricard Raquel got you back to a tie. Penguin fans, if the Penguins win this game, remember, if they win this game, it does some good stuff for the Penguins when it comes to the playoffs. Unless they already get eliminated. But, in which right now as we speak they are. But, this does the Penguins some good if they end up winning this game. They did not. But if they did, they would have swept the season series with St. Louis. They did not. And again, Thomas's OT winner, Robert Thomas's OT winner, good enough for my play of the game. So we kicked off this segment with a NHL look around. We will wrap things up on the other side with a look at how these teams did in their next 4 contests leading up to April 13th, which is today, the day of the Boston Bruins game, getting set to go. Pre-game show on the Penguins radio network starting at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Central, 11:30 a.m. Pacific. The game itself is at 3:30 p.m. We will be with you for that show. That is a Penguins post-game show. That is not a season program on Sports for Beginners. But our Washington Capitals game very well might be a part of that. Just wait and see for that. The shake of the game was inspired by the Milkshake Factory ad originally created by former Pittsburgh Penguin Jake Gensel. It is now being run by Brian Rust. And as the ad says, anytime Brian Rust scores, Penguins fans in Pittsburgh will receive a chance to go down to the Milkshake Factory in Pittsburgh and grab themselves a half-off Rusty Shake. Now, we are not sponsored by the Milkshake Factory, which is the official milkshake of the Pittsburgh Penguins, but it inspired our Shake of the Game segment. And as we are watching our timeline to Penguins and Bruins puck drop, we want to remind you also that Blue Jays game recap, Blue Jays and Orioles, coming up on the Blue Jays and Orioles Blue Jays game recap coming up before we get to the Boston recap. And that show will be following Blue Jays game recap as part of a little double trouble. Of course, you will get this recap before the Devils recap, and you'll get the Senators recap before this recap as we wrap up our turning back the clock. But with all that being said, I don't want to waste any more time here getting into the shake of the game. The game puck of the game will follow us setting the scene for Boston versus Pittsburgh, and of course, St. Louis's next game, which is on Tuesday night. Their last game of the regular season is on Tuesday night against the hockey club. We will set the scene for those and reveal to you how the Penguins and the Blues had fared since their encounter at the Enterprise Center in St. Louis, Missouri. We've got that coming up for you next, along with the game puck of the game. But to close out this segment, we're going to give away 2 shake of the games. The first one will go to Penguins goal scorer on the Penguins side of things. It will go to Penguins goal scorer Rutger McGorty. Really like what I saw from Rutger McGorty. And a nice little start to his season here. Picks up his first NHL goal, first assist in the NHL. Picked up 2 points. As I said before, Rutger now has 2 assists on the season and 2 assists for his career. He picked up his last assist during the win against Dallas on April the 5th. And he has 3 points in his NHL career. Not a bad start to his first year in the NHL, but it wasn't a long beginning of his career with Pittsburgh. Anywho, moving on. Rutger is going to get the first one. Jari will get our second shake of the game. And if you've tried a Jake shake or a Rusty shake, I would love to hear which one you prefer better, Jake or Rusty. A Jake shake or Rusty shake. I would love to hear what you prefer. Jari played in this one and made 14 saves on 19 shots. He did give up a goal on the power play, but he also gave up 4 goals at even strength. Finished the day with a save percentage, I should say, of .737. On the ice for 60 minutes and 25 seconds. As part of our shake of the game, Rutger McGorty and Tristan Jarry with those recipients for Pittsburgh. On the blue side, on the blue side of things, Joel Hofer is going to get our opening shake of the game. 24 saves on 28 shots, 4 goals given up, 1 on the power play, 3 at even strength. Played 62 minutes and 12 seconds. I was going to say 11, 62 minutes and 12 seconds. 3 goals at even strength, 4 goals in total against, and 1 goal on the power play was given up. Next guy up for grabs for the shake of the game is 2-time goal scorer Jake Neighbors. I love what I saw from Jake Neighbors, but I do think the first goal was a sweet one. The second goal might have been a bit cheeky, depending on how things went down. I'll have to take a look at the highlights once again to see how it all went down. But right now, as we sit here, I have the distinct impression that it was going to be... The distinct impression I have is that it was going to be, well, a bit cheeky. All right, game puck of the game and how the teams fared after those games and what's on tap. Who's in the playoffs that we know of? Who has been eliminated as of late? Even since this game went final. We will reveal it all to you when episode 10 of season 4 of Sports for Beginners, our St. Louis Blues Turn Back the Clock recap, continues and begins to wrap up on the other side. And we'll do that after a word from our friends at Sienna T Radio, making your day brighter one song at a time. We'll take 2 words from Sienna T Radio. But as we hit the break, I want to remind you that once this show is in the books and we get to the show with Boston and then Washington, that will be it for 2024-2025 for Penguins post-game between the Pens and their opponents for this season. It will be on the Washington Capitol recap that we will be doing. Yes, we will be doing. It will be on that recap that we will be doing. Yes, we will be doing Penguins Players of the Series of the season. It will be some Penguins awards that will kind of alter the game puck of the game and the shake of the game. These will be awards given out to the Pittsburgh Penguins at the end of the program. So we will still do our traditional game puck of the game and shake of the game before we get to the end of the show. But more on that to be revealed during our Boston Bruins recap. Stay with us as our Blues recap wraps up on the other side.
Don't go anywhere. There's more great conversations and content right around the corner. Sports for Beginners will be right back in a moment.
What a busy traffic on this Friday evening. I am almost stuck in this traffic for the last 40 minutes. And there is no way, I think, for me to get to the show. The Sienna T Radio Song Bank, which is going to start very shortly. It's one of my favorite shows. And my, what a way to wind down for the weekend. Perfect 2 hours of fun-filled music, and she has so many great features. Sound of Music, Undercover, Foreign Exchange. Name that tune. And the big wheel that she spins. For Who's That? Or Where Are We? We cannot forget about the international stage. I have never come across such a great show in my life. I think I will have to press hard on my accelerator and go as fast as I can to get home in time. Wow! Wow! Look! I made it! I am almost there! Sienna T. Ray, making your day brighter, one song at a time.
Sienna Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down. Nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on Sienna Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on Sienna Radio.
Now, let's take you back to the action. To the rink and field we go. We find Scott McGregor.
Welcome back to Penguins postgame. Penguins fall to the Blues 5-4 in overtime. This game from Thursday, April 3rd, 2025. Today is Sunday, April 13th, 2025. Penguins and Bruins coming up in just a couple of minutes from now. The pregame show on the Penguins radio network, WXDX FM Pittsburgh. Pregame show is starting very shortly. And it also means it's almost time for puck drop between the Pens and the Bruins. Also, Game 2 of what was supposed to be a 3-game series, and this was supposed to be game number 4, is getting underway. Actually, it is underway, rather, between the Orioles and the Blue Jays. Take a quick double check there to make sure if that is the case. But the first pitch was for 1:35 p.m. Yes, indeed, it has begun. So the game has begun between the Orioles and the Blue Jays. Blue Jays record as we speak is 8-7. The Orioles record is 6-8. And they are on the air right now. So just one quick thing here before we get to the game, puck of the game, and how these teams fared leading up to their games coming up. One quick note here from our friends over at Sienna T Radio. Yesterday was filled with fun on Sienna T Radio. In the morning, you got great action. On Saturday, you got Nick Blazewitz with the melting pot at 11:30 a.m. until 12:30 p.m. to kick things off, followed by the Classical Cafe with Samantha Ash at 2:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Then we've got Robert Godridge and the Hourglass from 3:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Eastern. And then, of course, we got the Sienna T Radio Song Bank. That aired from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Saturday night. It was originally scheduled for Friday, April the 11th, 2025. But it aired on Saturday. So you got the Melting Pot, the Cosmopolitan, sorry, not Cosmopolitan, the Classical Cafe, the Hourglass, and the Song Bank. Once again, you got the Melting Pot, the Classical Cafe, the Hourglass, and the Song Bank all happening on this past Saturday, yesterday. With that being said, we could get another one of those this Saturday on Sienna T Radio, which is the 19th. Unless, of course, we do get this Thursday, or rather next Thursday, April 17th or April 24th, another edition of the Sienna T Radio Cosmopolitan Culture Club. Great fun, great music, and lots of fun to be a part of, especially on a Friday night. I'll try to tune into as many of them as I can. And it's great fun. It really is. Guessing music, dancing around. Maybe you want to work. Maybe you want to work on other stuff, like in this case, the podcast. Where you want to work with music. Let me just end off here our quick Sienna T Radio note from Saturday by just saying that music is by far the best thing in the world. It really connects with you, especially classical music. And I'll give a shout out to Andre Rieu, who I was inspired by. Not inspired by. I was introduced to by a good friend of mine who shall remain anonymous right now. But shout out to Andre Rieu. I enjoy your music and the pieces that you put together. With one of my all-time favorites being Trumpet Voluntary. I really enjoy that music. Like I said before, music is the most beautiful thing in the world, and it really connects us, especially when we feel like, I won't say working, but when we feel like we need time for ourselves, and rather than watch something on TV or on YouTube or even on Netflix, you just feel like no, I don't feel like recording today. Or, no, I don't feel like watching something today. Or, I don't feel like watching the game today. Like, if you feel that way, music is a great way to soothe the soul and figure out what you're going to do the rest of the day. All right, speaking of that, we have a program to close out. So, we are starting things off with the game puck of the game. No inspiration in this one. This was strictly just thought out, and I said, let's give this a run. And it has pretty much it's run quite well, actually. No one really has actually brought in thoughts for that, but that's probably until we opened up the Discord server. We will see how it goes the rest of the way, but no inspiration for this. I mean, other than the fact that it would be very different compared to what you would hear on Penguins live post game after every Penguins game when they get to the save of the game. All right. We're going to start on the St. Louis Blues side, and the game puck of the game for this one will be 1, but it will be going out to the player that I think, despite the win and the loss, had a good game, even if it may have not been a great game for them. Starting off with the St. Louis Blues, and once again, we're going to go to their goaltender, Joel Hofer. I really like what I saw from him. There were a couple of chances, especially that led to goals for the Penguins, that I know he's going to probably want to have back. But it's all about, making that next save. It's all about making that next save. And a lot of the times, saves that you're going to make are going to wind up being goals. So with that said, Joel Hofer is going to get our game puck of the game for St. Louis. He also received the shake of the game alongside two-time goal scorer Jake Neighbors. On the Penguins side, Rutger McGroarty received the shake of the game. And Tristan Jarry also received a shake of the game as well. It wasn't a good game for the Pittsburgh Penguins by any stretch of the imagination. But the game puck of the game for Pittsburgh is going to go to Brian Rust. Really like what I saw from Rust. 3 shots on goal, one of them went in. Hey, no matter how many shots you have on goal, one of them eventually will go in. Maybe 2 of them will go in. Really like what I saw. Ricard Raquel had 5 shots in this game. One of them went in, past Joel Hofer. 4 shots on goal for Erik Karlsson. Quite a couple of shots on goal for everybody here. But with that being said, that brings us into the closing moments of episode 10, season 4. Not on a Penguins game recap show. This would be called last call. But since this is a Penguins post-game show on season 4, episode 10, we are going to get into now what would usually be described as the next 4 game nights. But since we haven't spoken since the game finaled, the games that were up next for each club have gone final. The only game that did not go final for the Pittsburgh Penguins is the game they play in about half an hour from now. It is 2:04 p.m. as we speak, Eastern Time. So that means the pre-game show on the Penguins Radio Network is about to begin. And it is almost game time between the Boston Bruins and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Speaking of the Penguins, how did they do after the loss? Well, they traded a loss for a win and then a loss for another win. They beat the Dallas Stars 5-3 in Dallas on Saturday, split that final back-to-back of the season with Chicago, leading into a home-and-home series where they lost 3-1 on Sunday, which was the 6th of April, to the Chicago Blackhawks. They beat the Chicago Blackhawks 5-0 on Tuesday, April the 8th, 2025, with Tristan Jarry, as a result, receiving his second shutout of the season. Penguins had to battle hard against the Metro foe in the New Jersey Devils. They do split the series with the Devils 4-2. I should say 2-2 in the season series, but they beat the Devils 4-2. So trying to finish off the season strong, the Penguins are on a 2-game winning streak as we speak, and as they prepare for battle against the Boston Bruins in the start of a final 2-game homestand with Fan Appreciation Weekend, I should say Fan Appreciation Day, happening on Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern against the Washington Capitals. Before that, though, they take on the Boston Bruins, which is today at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Meanwhile, for the St. Louis Blues, they won't be back in action until Tuesday, April the 15th, 2025. And following their victory over the Pittsburgh Penguins of 5-4 in overtime, they defeated the Colorado Avalanche 5-4 in regulation this time. That was part of a 3-game opening April series at home, 3-game homestand. And that is exactly actually what it was. It was a 3-game homestand, so they swept their homestand, winning 2-1 on Tuesday night, April the 1st, 2025, in overtime. 2025, I should say, in overtime against the Red Wings. They beat the Penguins on Thursday, April 3rd, 2025, in overtime, 5-4. Won by the same score, this time in regulation, against Nathan MacKinnon and the Colorado Avalanche. But then, since then, have gone on a 3-game losing streak, losing 3-1 on Monday, April 7th, 2025, to the Winnipeg Jets. And 4-3 to the Edmonton Oilers on Wednesday night in Edmonton. Those games in regulation. They lost just recently last night 4-3 in a shootout to Seattle. And now they're getting ready for their final game of the 2024-2025 NHL regular season. As we take a look at the road ahead, teams not playing past April include, as of right now, as we speak to you, the Vancouver Canucks, the Utah Hockey Club, so not in their inaugural season will they make the playoffs. The Ducks, Kraken, Predators, Blackhawks, and Sharks are out of the playoffs in the Western Conference. Still in the running are the Blues, the Wild, and the Flames. Teams that have clinched in the Western Conference are the Edmonton Oilers, Los Angeles Kings, Vegas Golden Knights, Dallas Stars, Colorado Avalanche, and the Winnipeg Jets. In the Eastern Conference, the teams that have clinched are the Toronto Maple Leafs, Washington Capitals, Tampa Bay Lightning, Florida Panthers, Carolina Hurricanes. The New Jersey Devils are also in, and the Ottawa Senators are in the playoffs as well. Teams in the running are Montreal and Columbus. One of those two teams will make the playoffs. The other will join the Detroit Red Wings, New York Rangers, New York Islanders, Pittsburgh Penguins, Buffalo Sabres, Philadelphia Flyers, and Boston Bruins at the end of the season. All right. Penguins and Bruins coming up next time on Penguins Postgame and on the final Penguins Postgame show of the season. It's time for, near the end of the show, 2024-2025 NHL Season Awards for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Who will have the honor of our Play of the Season? Who will have the honor of our Game Puck of the Year? Who will have the honor of our Shake of the Game of the Year? Our Shakes of the Year, I shall say. You'll find out about those on the Washington Capitals recap. Still to come today, though, Blue Jays game recap, Blue Jays and Orioles, plus Penguins postgame is back today. Boston versus Pittsburgh. 2 games left in the regular season. 2 games left on Penguins postgame. All will be available on the ice and behind the benches, should that still be around as part of Penguins Wednesday hockey. But if not, they will all be here on Sports for Beginners. And you're catching this one ahead of the Boston Bruins recap and ahead of the Devils recap. You'll catch the Ottawa recap and the Blues recap. Before that, I will be back with you for the Boston Bruins recap once we're done on the diamond with the baseball coverage. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, I have enjoyed every minute of doing this show with you. Yes, those disclaimers that I was talking about earlier, we won't be using them for the future of the show, just to stay extra careful with how we present our shows. And speaking of that, as we wrap up here, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, and things to help us run the show, reach out to us at Sports for Beginners Podcast 8231@gmail.com. Reach out on social media. You can find our Facebook page, facebook.com/sportsforbeginners87. And last but certainly not least, we are on Discord. If you would like to get in on the action on Discord for Penguins hockey games on Sports for Beginners, head on over to the Discord server, Penguins Postgame Show Interactions, Pens and the Bruins today. So as the old 2-9er Phil Borg would say, before every Penguins hockey game, at the end of every 2 minutes with the old 2-9er this season, enjoy the hockey game. I'm going to add in Let's Go Pens, and to honor the great Mike Lang, I'm going to add in, yes, I'm going to add in, to honor the great Mike Lang, one more time, ladies and gentlemen. He does this after every Penguins victory. We'll do it win or lose. After every Penguins victory, he says, ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building. My name is Scott McGregor. That'll do it for this episode of Sports for Beginners. That'll do it for our coverage on Sports for Beginners this season. This year, for the 2024-2025 NHL regular season. But Season 4 rolls on. Next time on Season 4's episode, it's episode 11. PWHL check-in. A check-in on the action around the MMLB. Plus, key takeaways from this season in Pittsburgh Penguins hockey. That's all on episode 11 of season 4 of the podcast. Next time on Penguins postgame, which will be the show after this one, swapping out the game puck of the game during the Boston Bruin recap for a little Bucks and Pucks, as we take some time to honor the MLB before we set the scene for Capitals versus Penguins. Speaking of Capitals versus Penguins, the Capitals are on the air tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll be keeping an eye on that game during our Penguins post-game show, Penguins and the Bruins. For everything that I mentioned and everybody that I mentioned, including the late, great Mike Lang, who will always be remembered on this podcast for his iconic sayings like simply sensational, or make me a milkshake, Malkin, or and you'd have to be here to believe it. Same thing for Phil Borg. My name is Scott McGregor. For everyone that I mentioned, enjoy the hockey game this afternoon between the Penguins and the Bruins. And we will catch you after the game and after Blue Jays game recap, Blue Jays, Orioles. It's all right here on Sports for Beginners, and it's all coming up. Following the game against the Orioles for the Blue Jays, and then following that game between the Pens and the Bruins, it's the 33, 35, and 12 Pittsburgh Penguins versus the 32, 39, and 9 Boston Bruins. Enjoy the hockey game, and as always, let's go Pens! Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building. You've just listened to Pittsburgh Penguins hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners or visit the official Sports for Beginners podcast website. Thanks for listening, and until next time, stay tuned. And remember that it is not goodbye, it is until next time. And you'd have to be here to believe it.